Let's even say some people feel like, oh, our cakes are too expensive. They lots of them. There's so many people. Some people feel like, oh, really nice girl. Let me buy a cake from her. Just emotion. People buy stuff emotionally. So if you create an online presence, people will connect with you online and they will buy whatever you sell. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So, are you one of those bakers that if a customer should send you a cake, you have to send it to another baker as if you want to buy a cake just to find out how much they're going to charge for the cake? If you're one of those, today in this video, I'm going to give you the confidence you need to be able to charge for your cakes. So that if the cost price of the cake is 50 euros and whatever you want to earn and every other thing after you've calculated is another 50 euros, that's 100 euros, you will have the confidence to charge your customer 100 euros when the cake is 100 euros. Do you understand what I mean? So this video basically is to teach you guys how to have the confidence to charge for your cakes. So welcome to my channel. If this is your first time on this channel, you are welcome. If this is not, thank you for coming back. Anyway, so without wasting your time, right? Let's get into it. So first of all, do not feel bad if you don't have the confidence to charge for your cakes. It happens to me even till date. And one of the things I feel like helps me is like whenever I've decided how much something will cost, I'll just send it without checking the chart again for a few hours. I know, it's cowardly, right? I know. Sometimes when you calculate the cost of a cake and you look at the price, you're scared, will the customer be able to pay? And that's because you're thinking, if I were the customer, would I be able to pay for this cake? Luckily for you today, I'm here to give you tips and tricks that helps me to charge for my work, to charge what the cake actually costs with confidence without being afraid. What's that? Okay, so let's get into it. The first and the most important thing for you to know when you want to charge a cake for a cake is the cost price of the cake, which means you've done your costing. Yeah, this is not a a cake pricing video. I think I have several videos on this channel like where I'm teaching you guys how I price my cakes. Yeah. So for your cakes, you need to first of all know what the cost price is for ingredients, for everything, for overhead, for the cost of labor, how much profit you want to make on that cake. Basically, like if you decide to calculate everything, you should be able to come to a price that you can give your customer because that is what it actually costs, without trying to, shortchange yourself because you're afraid the customer will run away and not pay, right? So it's important, number one, and the most important thing is for you to know the actual cost of that cake. Make sure you're not underpricing your cakes. Make sure you're not, okay, maybe you've calculated everything into cost and now it is 200 and you're thinking, oh God, this customer might run away, let me give them 180. I know this works because I've done it. I do it as basically I do it too. And the thing is, you have to find the confidence to be able to price for your cakes. Otherwise, you continually shortchange yourself and you'll be pricing with emotions, and you can't do business with emotions. And if you do, you really will not get anywhere. So the most important thing, number one, is cake pricing. Make sure you know the price of the cake, the cost price from the price of ingredients and everything, the price of overhead, and the price of labor, and also the profit you want to make for your business. Because your business needs to make profits as high the cost of labor so that you will be able to scale the business and be able to survive the economic terrain you're in, basically. So number one, know the cost price. Number two, you need to know your value. And when I say value, I mean you need to assess all of the work you do, all of the work you put into your cake. Number one, if you want to write it down, you can write down 12 different steps for making one single cake. Do you know how much work that is? If, let's say, for example, if you worked in an office and this is all the work they told you to do, and you spent, let's say, 5 hours out of the day doing it, and let's say, for example, you earn 15 euros an hour, how much is that? That's 75 euros for just your time on that cake. You've not talked about the price of ingredients, you've not talked. So you need to assess how much value you put into your cakes. And to help you do that, let me give you a few things you might not remember. Number one is the fact that, aside the fact that you have to buy ingredients, the time it takes you to buy the ingredients. If you're going to order it online, I'm sure it takes you some time to, decide which one you want to order, what you need for this and what you need for that, and put them together and place an order before it gets delivered. If you live in a place where you can easily go pick it up, the time it takes you to go pick it up if you're going to drive there, how much will it cost you? The cost of gas. How much wear and tear over time does it put on your vehicle? If you're a full-time baker and you have to drive somewhere to and fro separately, maybe to the cake decorating store or something, over time, that's basically where you go. And yes, your car will be breaking down. So, and then aside that, let's think about not just, I'm talking about the things, not like baking and decorating, the things outside of it that you do that you might not even remember you do. Number 3 is if you make CRICUT toppers. Do you know how much time it takes to make CRICUT toppers to put on your cakes? And you know, when customers see this cake, yeah, they feel like it's pretty, they like it, it's wonderful, it's glorious. How much time does it take you, aside from the time to decorate, to bake the cake, and to basically put a beautiful, wonderful, good tasting cake together? So if you think about it, you're putting a lot of value into your work. So you have to first know how much value you're putting into this work and be able to calculate that properly to be able to know that, oh, this is how many hours I spent on this thing and this is how much I charge per hour. So you need to know your cost price and you need to know how much value you put in your case. And another thing I want to point out is if you're one of those people that, like, for example, yeah, if a customer orders a cake on my website and they pay 150 euros, when I'm making the cake and it's taking, I'm not just going to make the cake and feel like, okay, I've gotten to this point where like they paid 150 euros, so, but the work I'm about to do is more than 150 euros, so I'm not going to do it. No, that's not the kind of person I am. And I know for most bakers, that's not who you are. You want your cake to look great. You want customers to be pleased and happy. You want them to come back. You want them to refer their friends. I'm going to go above and beyond. That's value. That's added value that wasn't even paid for. So when you're thinking about how much value you give your customers, you need to think about all of those things that you do that they might not even know you've done extra on their cake that they paid for. It's okay. So in summary, number 1, know your cost price. Number 2, know your value. Know the value you bring to the work you do, right? So number 3 is market research. So in the beginning of this video, I talked about, you know, those people that will send you a message with maybe their husband's phone to find out, oh, I want to buy this cake, how much is this cake? Just to know how much you will charge for it, so they can charge that. I find that very foolish. Aside foolish, I think it is very distasteful and really cowardly, if you ask me, because number 1, you don't have the same amount of skills as that other baker. I know bakers that send me messages, and I know this message is not coming from this person. It's coming from the baker that lives with them because they want to know how much you will charge. Your skills and my skills are not the same thing, right? If I'm going to charge 150 euros for a cake based on my skills, and your skills are higher or lesser, and you want to charge the same 150 euros, you're cheating yourself. Whether your skills are higher or lesser, you're cheating yourself. And this is the reason why I think you're cheating yourself, because if your skills are lesser, the customer will run away because they look at your page and see the cake you made and you want to charge 150. Seriously? There's a reason I didn't go to her. And if your skills are higher and then you still want to charge 150, you're going to be getting a lot of orders and you work yourself to the bone for very little money. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. When you can be charging higher and be making more money, right? The truth is, if you're a baker, you can't really be a billionaire or a millionaire kind of thing because it is hard labor, it is hard physical labor. But then you want to make sure you properly charge your value and charge based on your skills. So that leads me to number 4. Number 1 is know your cost price. Number 2 is know the value you bring. Number 3 is market research. Okay, so when I talk about market research, right, I'm talking about find out what other bakers are charging, because you don't want to charge way above that. Most people will not patronize. Yes, you still find your customers because money is not an issue to a lot of people. Yeah. Yes, you might not be able to afford to spend 200 on a cake, but for somebody to spend 500 on that same cake, you don't see that's a big deal. They have a lot of it. Yeah. So you want to find out what other bakers are charging, right? Those are charging beneath what you're charging. Those are charging above what you're charging. And then assess the skills they have and assess the skills you have. And be honest with yourself. If you're not honest, you're just going to, be shooting yourself in the leg in the long run. If you're not very skilled and somebody is charging 150 and you want to go charge 150 too, those customers will not buy from you. Except those that do not mind. Some people do not mind. And some people do not even know the other baker. So, that works as well. So You need to be honest with yourself and assess your skills, and also do market research to know what others are charging, so you can know where your range will be. I don't know if you understand. Even if you don't know how to price your cakes, yeah, knowing what others are charging will help you know what your range will be. Yeah. And in order not to be, annoying and disrespectful and be sneaking around like a rat, yeah, it's important that there's some bakers that have websites. Yeah, most bakers won't just give you their prices on a platter of gold. I know that, yeah. But there are bakers that have websites. You can go on there and check. You don't even need to ask them directly. You can go on there and check several ones and see, be able to compare prices. If you think your prices are too low for the skills you have, then up it a little. If you think your prices are too high for the skills you have, be honest. Because at the end of the day, it's going to blow back on you. If you're being honest or if you're being dishonest with yourself, it's going to blow back on you at the end of the day. So you have to do market research to know where you want to place your price. And also you have to assess your skills. That's number 4. You have to be honest with yourself, like I said. Assess your skills and assess the skills of the people around you. If you live in a place where maybe you live in a small town where people are not so skilled, and like maybe you're the most skilled person there, awesome, wonderful for you. You can be able to decide like how high do prices go on a certain thing, because let's be honest, this business is like if you make novelty cakes, they can't get it anywhere else. So whatever the price you say it is what it is. Even if it's a higher price and people around there feel like, oh, this is a little too much, if you stick, let me be honest with you, if you stick to that price, that's one thing I found, right? A few people will order, but those few people will pay your price and it will be worth your time. But if your skills are lesser and you feel like there are people with greater skills, look at your prices and adjust accordingly. If you get what I mean. Okay, my next point here is create a strong online brand. I'm sure you're thinking, what does this have to do with, my confidence to be able to price my cakes properly and to be able to, tell the customer this is the price when this is the price? Yes, I'm going to tell you what. People emotionally connect with other people online. There are some of my customers that they're kind of like my friends already. Whatever I say is the price is the price. So have you ever seen somebody online that you feel like, oh, you even have more skills than them, yeah? But when you go on their website, they're charging this plenty money and they have so many customers. But then they have so many followers as well. If you have followers, you're going to have so many eyes on you. So it means you have a little leeway amongst the kind of customers that like approach you for cakes and stuff. So which means like, even if your price is a little high, let's say for example, you have 100,000 followers, for example, and you make reels, people like you online and all of that. Let's even say some people feel like, oh, our cakes are too expensive. There are lots of them. There's so many people. Some people feel like, oh, really nice girl, let me buy a cake from her. Just emotion. People buy stuff emotionally. So if you create an online presence, people will connect with you online and they will buy whatever you sell. Take it from here on. Anyways, I've talked about being honest with yourself and like assessing your skills and knowing like how much you should charge. So, and I've also talked about building a strong online presence. Okay, the next thing is, creating premium package of different prices. Let me give you an example. There are some customers that can't really afford much, which is okay. Or some of them just are on a budget, which is normal, right? Most times too, we are on a budget too as bakers. So what you want to do is when somebody comes and like you're feeling like, oh, I'm scared, this cake costs 250, and if I tell them it's 250, they will run away. So something you can do, or something I do sometimes, is when they come and say, oh, they want this cake, is a double tiered, and maybe it costs about 350 for me to make it. And I know like I tell them to 350, they'll get scared and run away. What I'll do is I'll break it down into about 3 different levels. You can do a double tier that serves 80. I have another double tier that serves 45. And I have a single tier that serves 30, and maybe one is 350, one is 250, one is 150. You'll be surprised how many people will stick to the one in their price range. But if you just come and say 350, most of them will look at it and be like, oh, that's a lot. All right, thank you, next time. Do you understand what I mean? So that way you get to be able to retain your customer, and customers love it because it's great customer service. They can see that like you broke down the prices for them and stuff. So speaking of not being able to afford it, the last and final one, is the fact that I feel like most of us look at others, we look at maybe their pages and be like, oh, this person has 150 followers. Oh, they must not have a lot of money. I swear to God, those are the richest. Most times, So you're afraid that maybe if you tell them 350, they can't afford it. And I want you to know that that fear is based on the fact that you can't afford it. If you get what I mean. Let me give you an example. If your customer comes to me and they want to buy a cake for their 1-year-old and they want to buy a 4-tiered cake, and if they have, and they said, okay, this price you want and stuff, I want you to feed 250 people, and then they send you the design and you've calculated it and the cake is 650. You're thinking in your head that, God, if I tell them 650, will they buy? Oh God, 650 for a first birthday cake, like that's a lot. Yes, it is a lot for you. You don't know their pockets. You don't know how much they have. You don't know that they might not be willing to spend up to 1,000. Some people, money is not an issue, and it's kind of hard for me to be able to sometimes to be able to like remove myself from the situation and not give my customers price based on my emotions. Because I feel like maybe they'll run away, or maybe I wouldn't pay 450 for a birthday that's to my 1-year-old. But that's me. I'm not them. So just remember that that's you, and you're putting your fears on your customers. They probably have more money than you, and you can't judge by how many followers. You can't judge by the pictures on their page. You can't judge by by what you see on Instagram. Some people really do have the money and they don't mind spending. And you need to remember that you're not trying to cheat them. That's how much actually it costs. And if you be cheating, you're cheating yourself. And you don't want to do that, because last year you just be running this business and not find any money at the end of the year, and that's not what you want. So remember that you're not your customer. We can't afford it does not mean they can afford it. And if you're too scared, sometimes when I'm too scared, I told you guys what I do is I break it down and say, okay, this cake is 650. But if you would downsize and do it in 3 tiers, it will be 500. If you downsize even more and do it in 2 tiers, it will be so amount. You'll be surprised. Some of them will say, okay, no, I want the 650 one. I swear, some people do have the money. So stop judging based on your pocket. Yeah, I think I've exhausted all my points here. If you have any questions or you want to have anything to add, I would really, really appreciate if you guys leave it in the comment for me, because comments are really great for this video to do well and stuff. Thank you guys for always watching my videos, and if you have any questions, you can just, leave them for me in the comments. Thank you guys, and I hope you enjoyed this one, because I really enjoyed making it for you guys. And I will see you in my next video. Bye!